ESPN show. We're on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. And the WNBA Playoffs have our eye here for a few moments as they get going tonight. And it's our pleasure to welcome back to the show ESPN's Andraya Carter, basketball analyst, did a great job for the college tournament and then was on the NBA draft and has been doing the WNBA coverage all summer long. And she'll be a part of ESPN's WNBA coverage all playoffs long. Andraya, you ready for this this month-long sprint here?
Oh my goodness, yes, I am so ready. Last season, I covered college football and the WNBA playoffs. I tried to be Holly Rowe for a little bit, and I was grasping at straws by the end of it. So no college football for me. I'm all in on the playoffs, and I'm really excited. I feel a ton of energy to go right into it. So I'm excited, really.
Not everyone is built like Holly. And by not everyone, I mean no one else is built like Holly.
Yeah.
I do not understand how she does all the things that she does. She is one of a kind. But you know, obviously you guys will be focused tonight on the Aces. They're the overwhelming favorites. And I do think they've definitely been a different team since Candace Parker's injury in the middle of the season. But like when you think about them and their status as favorites, like, would you put it as far as say, like, I would take them over the field? Or do you think some of these other teams that have been kind of coming together as the season's gone have really closed that gap and that they've got some legitimate challengers, whether it be New York or Connecticut or someone else?
Yeah, I really think that it's hard because when Vegas' starters specifically are on, I don't think anyone beats them. I really don't. Like, I think that when Asia Wilson, Jackie Young, Kelsey Plum, Chelsea Gray specifically, but then Kia Stokes bringing her defensive energy and her defensive presence. Like, when they're in a flow, I don't think they can be stopped. I think the hard part is that other teams, in my opinion, can get themselves into a flow a little bit because they have a little more help coming off their bench, right? So, like, when Vegas' starters are on, I think it's a wrap. But I think, you know, you saw teams like New York Liberty, you know, some of their starters were struggling. Maureen Johannes comes in and hits huge shots and makes big threes. And, you know, some other teams that are kind of peaking at the right time, they've been impressive. So New York, I really like Washington. I think Chicago is a dark horse. I don't think they beat Vegas in a series, but I like Chicago. Dallas, you never know. You know, once I remembered that Chicago, when they won, they were a 6 seed, it just reminded me that you never really know. Like, you really just don't know. So that's the best part about the playoffs, honestly.
Yeah, no, and as the sport has grown and the league has grown, some folks, it's probably actually their first playoffs, like really watching it. These are sprint series. Like, it is a best of 3 in the first round, so crazy stuff tends to happen in the WNBA playoffs. Let's talk about the home team here with the Mystics. They draw the Liberty in the first round. Liberty have just gotten better and better as the year has gone. Breanna Stewart just named the AP Player of the Year. What chances do you give Washington, and what's the key to them if they're going to pull off the upset?
Well, the key to Washington is always their defense for me. You know, I remember when Washington beat Vegas and when they beat New York here just recently. I think Washington, when they're at their best, they do such a great job defensively at making their opponents take the shots that Washington, wants them to take. And that is such a key. You know, if you are New York the other night, just when they recently lost to Washington on a beautiful tip in by Brittany Sykes, the pass, the delivery, the execution.
Syracuse in the house right there.
Oh, here we go. You can't ever no one can ever let a Syracuse reference go. It's so funny.
Andraya, you went into the wrong industry if you wanted to let those go. You have made a terrible career mistake.
Yeah, and you know, Syracuse knocked us out of the tournament when I was in college, so I'm just salty all the time.
Oh, I'm sorry. I would have done that if I known it was a literal personal affront. But you were making a great point about Brittany Sykes.
Yes, well, but, you know, New York took 37 threes. And I know New York takes a lot of threes. They're the top of the league when it comes to three-point shooting. But Washington was so diligent on collapsing in the paint, shutting down the paint, whether it was Flutie getting to the rim, whether it was Jonquel Jones, whether it was Breanna Stewart. They did such a great job at clogging up the paint and making New York kick out for threes, making New York shoot threes. That's what they do defensively. So they have a shot because of the defense that they play. Washington, in my opinion, has one of the best trios, when healthy, of perimeter defenders. Brittany Sykes, Ariel Atkins is an underrated defender, in my opinion. When she really sits down in a stance, she fought over screens against Sabrina last time out against New York. She's working through denials. She's working through stagger screens. Like when she's healthy and she's locked in defensively, her length makes an impact. You know, Natasha Cloud's going to bring a defensive edge and take every matchup personally. So I think that their perimeter defenders are going to be huge against New York, containing Courtney Vandersloot, pressuring and getting a high hand on Sabrina Ionescu. Like, I know she had 20 points, but she only had 9 field goal attempts. So she was efficient, but she didn't have a high volume of shots because she didn't have an opportunity to get them because of the defense. So anyway, I say all that to say, I think the defense gives Washington a chance. I do not consider them dead in the water by any means, and I'm not automatically giving this series to New York. Now, New York is a phenomenal team. New York is a super team for a reason. They have so many weapons, 1 through, I'd even say 8. Like 1 through 8, I think New York has the deepest team. It's just a matter of them all playing and clicking on the same, clicking like a well-oiled machine. But I definitely give Washington a shot.
Andraya Carter, ESPN, who she'll be on the late game on Friday. Mystics Liberties, the early one. Dream Wings is the late one. My question for Washington is, do they have enough offense, especially if Elena Delle Donne is not on her game? And obviously, I hate to even say it, but like it's always a fragile, thing with her and her health. She's been in and out of the lineup all year. Hopefully, if she's off, it's just because she's off, not because she's out. But either way, does Washington have enough, and where would the offense come from if Elena's not at peak EDD?
Yeah, I think the positive about Elena Delle Donne is if she's on the floor, defenses, we'll speak to New York specifically, New York is going to, I don't see New York playing her as if she's off. Like, I think New York is going to respect her and the player that she is and the player that they know her to be because of who she is. So either way, her being on the floor shifts the defense. Either way, her being on the floor helps open up other opportunities for her teammates. So if she's not hitting shots, I think she still gets attention from the defense. And now it's up to everybody else to hit shots. It's up to somebody else to step up if she's not on her game. But I think the positive is she's going to command respect. And I think another positive for Washington is performances that we've seen from Brittany Sykes or Natasha Cloud or Ariel Atkins. Maisha Hines-Allen has had big games this season. Like, this is the time where you bring your best for your team, right? And so I think that there are players who are capable of having huge performances. And in a 3-game series, all it takes is 2. So, if Brittany Sykes goes off, we've seen her, 28 points?
Yeah, she's had some big ones this year.
Maisha Hines-Allen. Yeah. So, I mean, it takes 1 or 2 stepping up because of the creation that comes with having Elena Delle Donne on the floor. So I think there's a shot, whether she's on or whether she's off, but with her on the floor, I give them a shot offensively. Because you just have to do enough because their defense. It'd be a completely different story if they didn't defend. I mean, if they're giving up, but they scored 90 points and beat New York. It's not like it was a 67-65 win. They scored 90, and Elena only had 11. So you've got the guards stepping up huge, and I think that's going to be a really big key.
All of a sudden, it started to sound like all my Commanders stuff. It just started to bleed together. It's like, well, Sam Howell doesn't have to be that good because their defense is excellent. But that's the rest of the show. Last question I'll ask you here before we run out of time here with Andraya Carter from ESPN is about the coaching side of it. This will be Eric Thibault's first playoff run as a head coach. He's going against one of the best in the game in Sandy Brondello on the bench for New York. Like, what have you made of Eric in that lead chair this year and how he can handle a playoff series?
I think Eric Thibault is 100% ready to handle a playoff series. Like, there hasn't been anything this season, and obviously I haven't watched every game, so just, take this as you will. But when I've watched the Mystics and when I've had the Mystics, there hasn't been anything that's led me to believe that he's not ready to be in this playoff situation. I know playoffs add a little bit of edge to things. I know playoffs, make things add a lot of pressure to what you're doing as a coach. But he, in my opinion, has such a great command, especially dealing with all of the injuries that he's had with this team. His execution out of timeouts, I think, is huge. His challenges, I think, have been solid all season long, using them, holding on to them. He has a great awareness of the rules. He has a great awareness of his team's strengths. And he speaks with so much confidence. I mean, I've talked to coaches, college coaches, even some WNBA coaches, and it's when they say something, you can't tell if they're trying to convince you or they're trying to convince themselves. And everything that he's ever said has been just like 10 toes down. He knows what he's talking about in reference to his team. And I have a lot of respect for him. Obviously, he followed one of the greats in his dad and learned a lot, and it really shows. So I'm excited for him to have the opportunity to show up and be big for his team in the playoffs. And I love Coach Brondello as well. She is just, what she's done with the Liberty has been incredibly special, getting players to change their roles. She's obviously won a championship before. She's so much fun to talk to, and they're both great. Like, my favorite thing about both of these coaches is they are so open with what they need to do, what they're trying to do, what they think their opponent's going to do. And for me as an analyst, it's so helpful, because I can either counter it or I can support it. And however the game goes, the more information I get from them, the better. So I appreciate both of them as coaches, and I wish them both luck. So we'll see how it goes.
Hey, we'll see how it goes. 7:30 on Friday is tip-off of that one. Then Andraya will be on the call of Atlanta and Dallas after WNBA playoffs. Those start tonight on the ESPN family of networks with Lynx and Sun at 8 and then Sky Aces at 10. Andraya, this was great. Hopefully we can do it a little bit later in the playoffs. Enjoy the games, and we'll talk to you down the line.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Have fun.
What's up, kiddos? It's your boy Clinton Yates from ESPN. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980. Tell your mama I said what's up.